Bookish friends. Welcome to my March TBR. In March I will participate in two of my favorite readathons. That's why this TBR also became an ambitious TBR, like my February TBR. As I've said before, I both love these readathons, March Mystery Madness and Middle Grade March. I've done a separate TBR video about my March Mystery Madness TBR. I will just read classical and vintage short stories for March Mystery Madness. So this video will consist of the books that I'm going to read for middle grade March, as well as the other books that I'm planning to read in March, such as my buddy reads and book club books. I'm going to start with the books that I will not read for middle grade March. The first book that I'm going to read is the Agatha Christie book of the month, Partners in Crime. This is a short story collection featuring the married detective couple, Tommy and Tuppence. I will read two short stories for March Mystery Madness from this short story collection. But I will read all of the short stories because it's my Agatha Christie book of the month. For series cup, I'm going to read the second book in the Bridgerton series, The Viscount Who Loved Me by Julia Quinn. Although I will talk more about this in my February wrap-up part 2, I quite like the series and I will continue with the second book in the series. I really like the wit in the first story, so I cannot wait to read more from this witty author. Now I will talk about the books that I'm going to read. First of all, I will continue reading Dragonfly in Amber by Diana Gabaldon. I'm reading this tome with Kim at Kim's Book Life and Angie at Literary Labors. Although I did not find it as good as the first book, it's a really good and engaging book, and I really like the characters and cannot wait to read more about Claire and Jamie. The second book that I'm going to read is a Turkish book, Havva'nın Üç Kızı, which has an English title of Three Daughters of Eve. I'm going to read this with Freddie at the Sluggish Reader. We haven't decided on the date yet, but I'm really excited that I will read a Turkish book with an international friend, and I cannot wait to hear his thoughts about the book and give my insights about maybe the life in Turkey. So I think this will be a very good buddy reading experience. The third book that I'm going to read is The First 15 Lives of Harry August. I'm going to read this book with Tia and Mary Ellen. I do not know much about the book, but from the details that I know about the book, I think this will be a very interesting book. It looks like Harry August will have more than one life, and I like such stories. I've enjoyed many stories about alternate lives, so I think this will be a very interesting buddy reading experience as well. And the next book that I'm going to read is going to be One Breaks the Dawn by Janette. This is the third book in Canadian West series, and I'm reading the series with Rainey at Rainey Day Reads, and I really enjoyed the first book, quite enjoyed the second book, and I cannot wait to read this third book and chat with Rainey about mostly books, but about other things as well, because that's what we do actually. And I am also going to read this book for the prompt of time of day in the title in my Berna's Bookish Bingo. The last book that I'm going to read, this book will be a buddy read for 6 months. Janelle at Two Fando Books, and I will read 8 short stories from Vintage Mystery and Detective Stories. 4 of those short stories will fit March Mystery Madness prompts. I also talked about the book and the stories that I'm going to read in my previous March Mystery Madness TBR. You can find more about what I'm going to read in that video. And finally, we are coming to the books that I'm going to read for March Mystery Madness. The first one is a booktuber recommendation. It's the Sideways Stories from Wayside School. This book was recommended by Wiki's Book Nuke in one of her videos last year, exactly 1 year ago. I'm going to read this book for the prompt of decade since this book was published in 1970s. And I was born in 1976. So like many of the books that I'm going to read for this month, this book will fit two of my challenges. And the next book that I'm going to read for middle grade March is for the prompt of Journey, The Mysterious Mannequin by Carolyn Quinn. This is a Nancy Drew mystery book, and she travels to Turkey to solve a mystery. I'm going to read this for my Turkish Shelf video series as well, because as well as books written by Turkish authors, I also analyze the books that takes place in Turkey, and a middle grade book that takes place in Turkey will be a very interesting read for me. And the next book that I'm going to read for middle grade March will fit the prompt of a fairy tale retelling, Enchanted by Gail, Carson, Levine. I'm also going to read this for my real life book club. This is the book that I've chosen for this season actually. I purposely chose a middle grade book so that we will all participate in middle grade March, because the lovely co-hosts Krista, Katie and Amanda says that even if you read one book, you will participate in middle grade books. So all of my book club will participate in middle grade March this year. I've heard so many good things about this book, and I've also watched the adaptation without knowing it that it was a book. So I'm really excited for this book as well, like all the other books in my TBR. So the next book that I'm going to read for middle grade March will fit the prompt of Family, Red Shoe by Ursula Dubosarsky. And I will read this book for a prompt in my Bookish bingo as well. Ursula Dubosarsky is an Australian author, and I have a prompt of an author from Oceania. And I think reading a middle grade book from a different country will be an interesting experience for me. The last book on my TBR will fit the prompt of a silhouette, because there is a silhouette in the cover. I'm going to read this book in Turkish. It's called Şeker Portakalı. The English title is called My Sweet Orange Tree. And by reading this book, I will fulfill the prompt of an author from South America. I cannot remember the author's name right now, and I'm sorry for that, but I will put the cover of the picture here, and I will also link it down below, of course. This book was incredibly popular when I was in elementary school, and many of my friends had read it and said that it is their favorite book. I somehow never read the book because maybe I was reading some other books that were more interesting to me. I think this will be a good opportunity to find out why this book was so popular in Turkey, and it will also fulfill prompts for two of my challenges, which is an extra bonus, of course. So this was my very long March TBR. Please comment down below. Have you read any of the books that I'm going to read in March? Are you also participating in middle grade March? And if you're a new viewer, first of all, welcome. Please like and subscribe. Hope to see you very soon. Bye. For Turkish word of the day, since the title of the most popular book in my childhood contains orange, I thought orange should be the word of the day. Orange means portakal in Turkish, and portakal is our Turkish word of the day. Have a good day.